Hello and welcome to next Coco Code livestream. Today we will do some kind of follow-up to the latest two videos about Unity animation. The first one where I showed you how to create animation using LeanTween, lerping, using code, and the second one about using animator tools built into Unity. So the idea is I have for now like 2 or 3 examples that I like to show you, which haven't been already shown in the other videos. And if you have any questions about Unity UI animations or any ideas, what would you like to see on the live stream, how to build it and how to implement it maybe into your game, I'm looking at the comments all the time, so be sure to comment and maybe we'll come up with some kind of solution and maybe I will show you how to build that. Okay, so as I said, we'll be using both methods, both lerping and LeanTween. This is a new clean project with already LeanTween installed, as you can see here. And I'll be also using the animator, so I will try to show you which is the best use case for each scenario. Okay, so I'd like to start with something that I believe many your games have something like that. So this is, imagine, very simple, very basic, maybe main menu, like some kind of menu, as you can see, and this is background. Here we have this background pattern. So my idea is to maybe try to animate it so that it will be constantly moving really slow in the background, like you can see in many my videos, like the end screen with the Patreons have this really slowly moving animation of the background. So how to achieve that? To be honest, this is the perfect case for using LeanTween scripting. So we'll do just that in that case. The first really important thing is, as you can notice, this is a pattern, so it basically repeats. I can resize it to whatever size I'd like. And I found out that if you resize it by 256, as you can see, I will try to quickly show you that. It's basically the same pattern as I move it 256 pixels on the right. So this is the same pattern. So our idea will be to constantly move it to this position, 255, and then loop it. So it will start moving again. You will see in just 1 second. So of course we'd like to start writing some code for the LeanTween. So just create a new component. I will call it background animation script. So create it and let's open it. Background animation. So if you remember from my previous video where I show you how to move objects, first, instead of this start and update methods, I need to type public transform and now, for example, background pattern. So this will, I don't know why this transform is not colored, this will basically be linked to this pattern shown in Unity. Hello everyone on the chat, I welcome you to the live stream. So yes, this will be our background pattern linked, and then we'd like to maybe use start. Okay, you know what? I need to restart Visual Studio for whatever reason because it's not helping me. In the meanwhile, let's look at the chat. So I have a few questions here. So can we animate UI inside Unity with code, because animating UI without codes are annoying? I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but yes, in the description you can see my link to my video where I show you both ways. So you can animate your UI using Unity animation tools, animator and animation window, and using lerping and LeanTween library. So you can be sure to check them out. I will show in just a second how to do that using only code. Okay, so back to our code. It's working now, so everything is colored the proper way. So then I will type start. And on start, we'd like to start our animation. So I will start typing background pattern. And if you remember that from my video, I used something called lean move, which basically is animation move. You will see in just a second. We will move in the axis. So basically we will be moving this object like that. Okay. And we'd like to move it, as I said before, 255 pixels. Then, as this box suggests, we need to specify the time of this animation. So, in this case, I'd like to move it in like maybe for now 4 seconds. Okay, let's save it, go back to Unity and see what's happening here. So, of course, here we have this background animation script, and I just need to link it. So I will just take this pattern and link it to this background pattern field in our script. Okay, so now let's play it and let's see what's going on. Okay, so our background is moving. It's moving 256 pixels and it's stopped basically. Of course, we don't have a pattern here because basically our whole image has been moved, but we will fix that in just a second. The first thing I will show you will be how to loop this animation. So we don't like to have this animation like played one time in these 4 seconds and after that stopped. That's nonsense. We just like to have it looping constantly. So I will just go back to Visual Studio, and to start looping using this LeanTween library, I can just type .set loop clamp. That way we are telling this script that after this script will be run, this animation, after this animation will be run, start it all over again from the ground up. Okay, so let's go back to Unity after saving. And let's see what's going on right now. Okay, and as you can see, after those 4 seconds, the animation starts to loop. And in fact, if you will look on the right, maybe look at this pattern, it looks constantly like nothing happened. But of course, if you look on the left side, it's basically jumping. Of course, you can also show the screen and you can see what's going on. So that's really easy to fix. The only thing we need to do is to basically move this object to cover this area. Of course, at start it won't be visible, but in some time when it will be moving, basically it won't be a blank space, but it will be this same pattern. I think the best way in this case will be to in fact resize it like maybe plus 512 pixels like that, and let's see how does it look. Okay, 4 seconds have passed, and as you can see, this is pretty much like identical. It looks like it's seamless. If you will open the scene, you can see that it jumps a bit, but it's totally constant, so you can see that in the game window. So I think it's great, and even we can leave that for the whole live stream, but I will only tweak one thing, that instead of 4 seconds, I will change that to maybe 15 seconds, so that it will be much slower. Okay, so in the meanwhile, before we'll start doing the second animation thing, let's look at the chat. So, can you make live streams about designing good UI? or video. Okay, so this is the thing that, of course, I'm trying to do live streams mainly all about Unity UI, and I try to show you some kind of ideas, some kind of ways how to make it properly, but this is a good idea to maybe create a separate video that will answer to that questions. And if you have any questions about UI, like how to build it, what is the best way to maybe, I don't know, create inventory screen and so on, be sure to leave them here or under any of my videos or on the Coco Discord, link in the description, so that I will have some kind of ideas what to work with in that kind of video. Also, the second question, are you planning to make videos about how to make multiplayer games in Unity? So this is a big topic. So as you can see, as you know probably, on my channel there are a lot of videos about PlayFab, but it's not real-time multiplayer. It's basically how to say that? A backend with login, with, for example, currency, with online saving, but it's not a real multiplayer. I'm planning to do some kind of videos on that, but I need to find a way how to tell you all about that in the proper way. Like, it's a really complicated multiplayer thing, is really complicated, and I need to prepare for that to just make the best videos about that. Okay, so let's go back to our animation. The second thing I like to animate will be this main menu box. It's really simple, like I made it in just a minute, like something like that. But this tool, wait a second. Okay, but this box, we'd like to maybe move it from the bottom, like it will start off the screen and move it to the middle of the screen, and then I'd like to show all three buttons. So usually, and also in my LeanTween video, this one, I showed you a way to do exactly that with some kind of dialog box that jumps from the bottom, and it was a perfect case for using scripting, yes, for using LeanTween. But this time I'd like to show you basically the exactly same thing, but using Unity built-in animation tools. That's because I'd like to also animate these three buttons separately, which will be a pretty annoying thing in the code. You would need to just make like three animations that will be triggered on the specific timing. That will be pretty annoying and would not be that easy to tweak. So I will show you how to build that in the Unity animation tools. Okay, so let's start doing Unity animation. So I'm showing this LeanTween video, but in fact this is something I've done in the previous video, in the latest one, animation without coding. You can find links for that videos in the description, of course. So let's start with the animator component, or you know what, we can also just click create here at the bottom and then specify where we'd like to create those scripts. So in my case, I like to create a new folder called animations, and inside of it let's also create a new folder called maybe main menu box, something like that. And here our first animation will be just called open. I don't know if we will even do any other animations, so yeah, let's for now just call it open. Okay, so the idea is to, as I said before, start from the bottom and then after maybe half a second move this box back to the middle. So if you remember from my previous video, you can here at the very top there is this small record button, so press it, and after you press it, everything that will be moved on the scene, for example, as you can see now, everything that is moving on the scene will be saved as a keyframe, like that something has been moved and the animator need to look at it to create proper transition. Okay, so let's do something like that. At the very start, in the first frame, we'd like to start below the screen, like that. So of course you can't see it, but it's below the this background and so on. In the game, it's pretty much impossible to see it. And then after 30 frames, in half a second, I will move it back to the middle. If you're not sure if it's the proper middle, you can just use this inspector and make sure that the X and Y value is 0, so that it will be properly aligned. Okay, great. So right now we have this animation. If I will click on the main menu, we have this animation that basically moves from the bottom to the middle. It's pretty fast, and I'm not sure if it will display properly on the live stream, so I will maybe move it to 1 second. Okay, this is our animation. For now it's a bit slow, but here comes our animation curves. So this is something I showed in the latest video. So you can add those curves to make your animation more interesting. If we go to this curves window, at the very bottom there is curves button. You can see all those curves. In this case, the green one is the one we are interested in. I will just change a view a bit. In case if it's like really stretched or you don't know what's going on, just press A on your keyboard and it will be automatically resized to your screen. So as you can see, here we have a very simple ease in out curve that starts slow, goes fast in the middle and starts slow and ends slow. But I'd like to create this animation that is really fast at the start and slows down when it reaches the end position. So I will just take this small drag handle. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, something like that. Take this handle and just move it like that. As you can see, this is a chart of basically at which position will be our object in time. So right now it will start moving fast and it will gradually slow down at the end. Right now our animation looks like that. So it starts fast and slows down at the end. I think it looks much better than the default one. In fact, as you can see, here is this red line that indicates, in this case, that this is the Y value, but let's say it's the 0, so the end position. We can even go above that, like that, and that will create some kind of spring animation. So our box will go beyond the 0 point and go back to 0. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so as you can see, this like speed, this momentum is too fast, so the box basically overflows and needs to just back up to the 0 point. I think it looks pretty nice. Maybe I will just modify one thing, that I will move this keyframe to 40 to this time, like it's 40 out of 60 parts of the second, like 40 frames. Okay, and let's add this springy animation, so it should look like that. I'm aware that on the live stream it may be not that smooth, sorry about that, but yeah, it looks pretty good in my opinion. Okay, so I think this is a great start point, and as I said, all of that can be so far achieved using LeanTween and using scripting, but I think this will be the moment when you will start to think why the animator is better for such tasks, because we like to also animate all the buttons. So by default, I'd like to make all the buttons with with the 0 size, like the 0 scale. Here in the inspector you can see that by default they of course have the scale of 1. But if I click on the button, scale of 1, I'd like to start with the scale 0 and then change them to 1 so that they will just pop out or something like that. Okay, so make sure that the record button is turned on because it wasn't turned on. And then start with selecting all 3 buttons and changing the scale of them to 0 in the X and Y. X and Y 0 axis. As I also said in the video, there is this thing that if you start a keyframe like in the middle of the animation, the animator automatically creates also a keyframe at the very start. So here are these 3 buttons, and as you can see, basically they're by default turned on and they go small, which is not the thing we like to achieve. We like to have them 0 scale at the very start and then go to 1 scale. Okay, so let's remove all of that. And by the way, in the meanwhile, let's look at the comments. So, your playfab videos have been great help in getting it working here. Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed some of them. If there are any favorite ones, be sure to also share that with us. Do you think about what do you think about my idea about the UI maker? Is this are you from the Discord? Is that the idea from the Discord? If I remember that correctly, if you could please tell me. Can you share my channel name? I'm not sure what you mean, but hey, welcome Men in Tech to the live stream. Just want to thank you for good videos, have no problems understanding at all. Thanks a lot. That means really, really much to me. Okay, I'm continuing, but by the way, remember that if you have any UI animation questions right now, this is the best moment. If you, for example, couldn't create something in the animation world, like if you tried something in the Unity UI animation and you couldn't do it, be sure to comment now and maybe I will try to recreate it. Of course, if you have any ideas what you'd like to see, I'm also open to ideas. From the Discord, yes, this is a great idea, Preslav, but it's a really hard one. So I'm crossing fingers that you will do well on that, and be sure to share your progress on Discord. And yeah, this is a great idea. I myself love the Unity built-in UI tools, but I know that they are a bit too complicated for many, so that might be a good idea. Okay, so let's go back to our game. Okay, I have one more comment, so maybe let's quickly try to answer that. Do you recommend the new Unity UI builder? I'm starting with Unity now and I want to focus on VR UI prototypes and I don't know which system to use. Okay, so the new UI builder, as I shown on the previous live stream, is a really new thing. It's still in the preview and I don't believe that's something that you should focus on, for example, because it doesn't support animations yet. Like, it's really basic. It's mainly meant for creating like UI inspector in Unity components, something like that, if that makes sense. But for the game itself, I don't think it's finished so far. And the built-in Unity UI system is far more superior and more advanced for such kind of things. And also you'll find many assets that basically allow you to create some kind of VR UI. So I don't think that the UI builder is a great thing for building in your game right now. Just maybe after a few months, years, it will start to be something more appealing and more interesting. Okay, so let's go back to our animation and let's finish it. So right now we have this nice animation that jumps from the bottom like that. And then we like to gradually enable all three buttons, like to basically pop out from the 0 scale to the 1 scale. So right now all of these three buttons, as you can see here on the bottom, have keyframes with the 0 scale. And now I will just move it to like 70 frame, and let's change those buttons to scale 1 in the X and Y in the Y values. So right now it will show a very simple animation that after the main menu will jump from the bottom, it will very slowly show those three buttons. But I don't think this is a great animation, and I think we can tweak it a bit. So yeah, the first thing I like to do will be to, instead of appearing all three buttons at once, maybe I like to move it so that the first one will appear, then the second one, and then the third one. So I will just move those keyframes. As you can see at the bottom, I just moved them, already created keyframes. And now you can preview animation that the first one starts, second one starts, and the third one starts. That already looks much better, but it's still a bit slow. The first win we can start with is just to take all of those keyframes and move them to maybe so that the first button will start animating while the box is still moving. So that should make animation much quicker. So let's look how it looks. Okay, that's already much better. The second thing, I believe the spaces between those buttons are a bit too big, so maybe I will move it like that, so that all buttons should appear much quicker. Let's look how it looks. Okay, that's better. And the last thing will be curves. The curves are like the secret formula for animations, I believe. So if you click on the button scale and go to curves, as I said before, press A so that it will be resized properly. That's something that I found out after years of working with animations. And yeah, that's pretty cool thing that you can do that. So as before, I will just take this green line. I will just take this small handle and we'll try to move it like that. Now, the thing with using curves with the scale is that you have two separate curves for the X value and the separate curve for the Y value. Like the green one is X and the red one is Y. Right now you will see that because of our mismatch with the, like, these curves are not equal to each other, you can see that the start button behaves really weirdly, like that's really weird. So you have two ways to go over it. So you can either just click on this red one and also try to make the same like line, which is usually pretty easy and it will give you the good result. But also you can just click on the green one, select first and second point, copy that. I use the Command C shortcut, and then when I press the red ones, select them, I can just paste them. Whoops. That should work, or it's not working. Okay, it's not working. Sorry for that. Okay, so maybe let's just do it manually. I'm not sure why it's not working right now. Let's just stick to the old method. So try to make those two lines look like identical. That way the size in animation should be pretty much the same. Maybe I will try to now take those 2 points and go to the second button and try to paste it right now. Okay, so that way it works. So I can just paste the curve from the first button. I pressed second button here and I just paste it. to make the same curve. So this is the same example. Just make sure that your playhead is on the correct position, and yeah, do it like that. Okay, and now animation, oh, it lagged a bit. Animation looks like that. So each button, I don't know if you can see that smoothly enough on the live stream, but by the way, you can tell me please if the live stream is pretty like smooth for you in terms of animation, because that's pretty important here. Yeah, you can see that these buttons like really fast appear and slow down at the end, which looks really good in my opinion. That's how it will look in the game mode. Oh, something like that. Yeah, that looks, I believe that's the thing that we can even end with, I mean in this animation, but there is this one thing which is pretty obvious, that if you play the game, you can see that our animation will start. By the way, look at this great background animation which we've created at the very start of the live stream. And this animation in the middle is like non-stop, yes? It's looped and it will do that indefinitely, which is not great for our main menu animation, yes? You like your player to press start and start the game instead of looking at this animation. So we have two ideas how to fix it. The first one being working with the animator. So this is something I covered in the last video about animator, and you can basically use all of these Unity animation and animator tools to create some kind of animation states, to maybe create a second state with the menu already showed up and to lock it. But in this case, we have a really easy solution for that. Instead of creating new animation that will have idle state of the main menu, we can just go here at the very top, press animations, main menu box, and here we have our open animation. This is something we've created a few minutes ago. This is basically animation file of this box. And here in the inspector, you can see there is this very simple one toggle that basically tells if the animation should be looped or not. So in this case, it's looped by default, so I will just uncheck it. And let's see how it looks in the game right now. Okay, so as you can see, we just opened the game, the main menu fly in from the bottom, and all three buttons appear like with this great animation in my opinion, which just engages player to click them. Okay, so I think that part is pretty much finished. Let's look at the comments. By the way, remember, if you have any ideas for the animations and if you like to see some kind of solution, how to build some kind of animation in your UI, be sure to comment. I will try to show you that in just a second. Let's look at the comments. Okay, so do you recommend new UI builder? I already answered for that. You're welcome, Gracjan. Nie ma za co. I keep reading that using the animator for UI is really bad for performance. What's your experience on how they compare with twins? Okay, so this is pretty controversial thing. So many people will tell you that the animator is bad, and that's half true. Like for a very long time, it's been really bad to use it. But in fact, in Unity 2019.3, they patched it a lot. Like the animator is much more stable and much more performant. So since that version, you can like use animation in more cases than using LeanTween. But the LeanTween is pretty much more optimal way. So if you can use it for very basic animations, use LeanTween and lerping and basically code animations. But if it's something more complicated, I don't think it's something you should be like, you should be aware of, like, I don't know how to say that. You shouldn't worry about that. Oh, okay, let's say like that. Using the animation tools. Wow, that was really cool. Great. Can you use these animations in the new UI toolkit? I'm currently avoiding UI toolkit because of the lack of... Yes, you can't do that. You can't at all use animations. In fact, if you go to the UI builder, UI toolkit websites on Unity, there is this thing that the roadmap of the UI toolkit, and they say that there are animations in the roadmap. Yes, they will be in the future. So you can't do any animations at all as far as I know right now. So that's a pretty much why I don't like to use it for now. But maybe I will try to do some kind of videos about it in the future. The importance of performance hit with the animator on what you are trying. Yes, yeah, this is exactly. I mean, many people tested that, of course, if you animate many things at once, even using lerping, I mean, even using scripting, it still does the same performance hit as with the animator. But the thing with the animator is that how your performance will behave if you are not animating things. Like, for example, for a lot of time, people didn't know, or at least it wasn't well documented, what will happen if we will just do something like that, if we will just open animation and stop it. And as far as I know, so that's why many people are saying that they read that the Unity animator is not good. As far as I know, before, in that case, maybe the canvas was still being redrawn. But right now, I believe, I don't know if you can see anything like that in stats. Right now, I believe it's optimized. So it's hard for me. I still need to make some tests about it. But I can tell you that I've created a whole game on Steam, which was 100% using animator, to be honest. And the performance is pretty okay. I mean, so I wouldn't worry about that much. But still, sometimes using just coding and lerping is much easier and better for your game than using the animator. So in that cases, go ahead and do that. Because you're not giving me any suggestions in the chat, I thought that you have many problems with the UI animation, so I thought I will just prepare 2 examples and go on with your suggestions. Be sure to comment them if you have any, but I just thought about some kind of weird game maybe. Let's see if that works. Wait. So my idea is to maybe create a very stupid game. A very stupid game that will have one button. So let's quickly create a new button. Right click on the canvas, UI button. Okay, let's give it some kind of color. Wait a second. No, we like to change the color in the image. So here we have image. Let's change the color to maybe yellow. Okay. And change the source image to rounded rectangle. Okay, so this is very, very simple button. And my idea is to maybe create this stupid and annoying game that will basically move the button to some kind of position whenever you hover mouse on this button. Imagine this is a simulator of website pop-ups that doesn't allow you to close it because the X button moves and it's pretty annoying sometimes. Okay, so this is our button. Maybe let's type click me. That will suggest to click it. Okay, and let's start with creating a very simple script. So I will just press here at the very bottom, add component, and maybe let's type annoying button. Sorry if I have misspelled that. Okay, so annoying button. So the idea is that will create a new method here. I will just type public void button hovered, like that. And here we like to move that button to some kind of random position. So at the very top, I will type public transform button. So this will be just our link with the button. And when button will be hovered, we'd like to move this button to some kind of random position. Let's start without writing any animation code. Let's start with just writing this very simple move code. So I will just type button dot position, local position. And local position means, as far as I know, that it will take into consideration all the anchors and everything that is not related to the whole game window, but related to the parent, so in this case canvas. So we like to create new vector 2, like that. And for now, let's go with the 400 width and 400 height. Of course, that will just move it to one position, so that doesn't make really sense. But let's quickly set it up and then move on from that. So this is our button, and to trigger that on mouse over, I just need to create a new component, like add new component, and it's called event trigger. Okay, event trigger. I'm confused because this is a new icon and I'm not familiar with that icon. So, okay. So here we have event and we need to create new event type. So in our case, it will be on pointer enter. So when the mouse will hover over this button, and if so, just drag in this annoying button script and set it to, sorry you can't see it, but I'm just setting to annoying button and the method we've just created, so button hovered. Okay, so right now the scenario is that if we will hover over this button with our mouse, it should move to position 400. Oops, sorry. To this position. Okay, it's off the screen, so maybe let's change it to 100 for now. I will tweak that in just a second. Okay, position 100 will be around here. Okay, so let's check if that works. I will press play and let's hover it. And okay, I haven't assigned something. Okay, I haven't assigned this button, so I'll just drag this button to this script. Let's press play. And yeah, it moves like this. Okay, so then we need to make this movement random. So here I will type int x, which will be random range between, and let's say that it will be between 240 and minus 240. Okay, so I will type minus 240, 240, okay? And then let's basically do the same, or maybe I will type that. Int y equals random, that range from minus 150 to 150. Okay, and then let's use these two values like that. Okay, so let's check how this button will behave. So the scenario is that each time I will hover my mouse over this button, it just moves to the random position, and I believe it's not really possible to click it. Okay, that doesn't matter. But why I'm showing you this, because you might be a bit confused why I'm showing this on the live stream about animations. Because this is like the perfect example of using the lerping, like this animation from LeanTween, to just create a smooth animation to move to the position of vector 2, x and y. So I will just type button lean move local, and first we need to feed the position to, so I will just copy this new vector, and then we need to set the time, so maybe that will be just 0.5 seconds, like half a second, and I will comment that. Okay, and now we should have a pretty nice animation with this our annoying button. So let's check how it works. And yeah, it works. I mean, the animation is a bit too slow, but as you can see, it works. Like, doing that with Animator is not possible at all, but with LeanTween it's possible. So maybe I will change time to something much quicker, 0.2. That should make much more sense. Okay, and at last, let's set the curve. So I will type set is out, and maybe let's do with the bounce. Again, you can learn about all of that with the is out in types in my video about the LeanTween. So be sure to check it out. I'm saving this script, and finally, let's try to play our game. And yeah, as you can see, it, as I said it, of course, it bounces, which is a bit annoying. So maybe instead of the bounce animation, I will select set is out like quart. I believe that's a nice one. So let's go back to Unity and let's check how this our click me button works. And it works really well, really well, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And we can just try to chase that button forever, basically. So that's the idea of using LeanTween. And as I said before, this is something that's not possible with the animator. You basically need to specify that in code, of course. Okay, so I believe I will be wrapping up because I can't see any suggestions about building UI and animation UI. But if you have any last minute questions, or even if you have any last minute UI animations questions, be sure to comment them now. In the meanwhile, I will remind all of you that you can get source file for this video and many other my videos on Coco Patreon. Link, of course, in the description. And yeah, that's it, I believe. I'm still looking if there are any more comments, but I can't see them really. So I think I will be wrapping up this live stream. Thanks a lot everyone who tuned in, and thanks a lot everyone who watched this live stream after as the video. And as always, thanks a lot to my awesome patrons and everyone who supports this channel. Be sure to check out Coco Discord. And yeah, that's all. Thanks a lot and see you in the next live stream and episodes. Bye.